Any modifications or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Abstentions, no. The minutes are officially adopted. The second order of business is to adopt the resolutions from the December 9th meeting, V2119, V2120. Is there a motion to adopt the resolutions? Is there a second?
Second.
Any modifications or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? The resolutions are officially adopted. The board will now conduct the public hearings on today's agenda. The way we work it here is that first the applicant or the applicant's representative will state the reasons for the requested variance and present any material or documentation which is considered regarding the proposal. Next, persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board. Then persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or a representative will be given the option to make any closing arguments or comments to the board. Following the public hearings this afternoon, the board may make a decision on each application heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the record except for information that the board may request. That information will be available for public review at the zoning office in City Hall Commons. Before we call the first case, I'd like to ask anyone who steps up to speak, the first thing they do is say their name and their address, okay? With that in mind, staff will now introduce the first application.
First application is P-02-09M2. It's an area variance to the lot coverage and floor area ratio for property at 1030 to 1060 East Genesee Street. It's a proposal for lot size reduction. The owner applicant is Scholar Syracuse LLC. The zoning district is Office Class B.
The applicant present. Be my guest.
Thank you. My name is Wendy Marsh. I'm a partner with Hancock Estabrook. I represent the applicant. The address is 100 Madison Street, Syracuse, New York. Am I allowed to take my mask on? Or?
No, the rules have changed.
Oh, the rules haven't changed. Okay, so
Okay.
then I shouldn't do that?
No.
Should have told me.
I was trying to follow his lead.
Just talk loud, that's all.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the reason that we are here, it actually relates to a larger project that has been. Which one is doing that? Okay. So the reason that we're before the BZA is related to a larger project that has been before the Planning Commission, and that relates to a subdivision of the lot of the former Genesee Grand Hotel, now called the Scholar Hotel, into two separate lots where there's a development of a 104 dwelling unit apartment building that's going to be placed on the parking lot and an associated parking garage. So the project has gone through the project site review with the Planning Commission, which resulted in the approval for that project as well as an approval of the subdivision into two lots. And by subdividing it into two lots, that sends us to this board because there's a need for two area variances for the existing hotel. And those area variances are for the maximum lot coverage and also the floor area ratio. And since there's no construction or development on the hotel lot that is remaining, there's a need for the area variances. The other variances, well, waivers that were needed for the actual construction were handled by the Planning Commission. So that is why we are before you for the two area variances. I thought I'd field any questions that you have on the procedure before I turn it over to the development team to tell you a little bit about the new development and to answer any questions that you may have.
So you will probably answer my questions, but I know I read in the paper about this development, and I read the case. And I was a little confused. First of all, I thought what you're calling the Scholar Hotel was called the Collegian.
Yes.
Okay. It says the Scholar Hotel in here, but it's the Collegian at a brand, one of the brands. So why does it say Scholar here, and why is it, do I think it's...
It's the actual owner. So it's the real property owner is the applicant for the remaining lot, which is the hotel.
Yeah, but I'm just asking, You're referring to a hotel, you just said the old Genesee Inn. In here it says the Scholar Hotel, but I have booked some friends in there, and it was the Collegian Hotel, so I don't.
It's the business name versus the actual
That's the
owner
answer,
of the
okay.
property
Right.
is the applicant requesting the
And
variances.
the owner is Scholar?
Yes.
Okay.
And my second question, again, you'll probably answer. The project, the building project is the opus in this case. Is that
Correct.
correct? And it hits up, it's what I'm very, very familiar with.
Sure.
Area. It's like the back part of the parking lot up to Madison Street.
Exactly. It will front on Madison Street, exactly.
And the owner, the Scholar, owns the whole project. It's just the project that you're doing. And it's not somebody else developing it, or is it Scholar developing it?
Developing it is the Opus Group, and they will be able to answer
Gotcha.
those
Okay.
questions with regard to
So
the
go-
new
Yeah,
development.
go ahead. So I just needed that.
Oh, no, that's fine, because it is
To
very
start.
confusing, because it's, all of the actual development went through the planning commission, but because we have this kind of remainder parcel for what's existing, that's the nature of the area variances.
Thank you.
Both parcels have the same owner?
As of right now, yes.
But that will change.
What are they going to tell us?
Yeah, I will let, everybody's nodding, so, but I'd be happy to introduce you to Dean Newens, who is the president and CEO of Opus, to talk about the new development. Any other procedural questions, just because it is a little confusing? Oh, good, great. And then, Dean, if you can introduce the rest of the team as well. Of course. Thank you.
Good afternoon. As Council said, my name is Dean Newens. I'm with Opus, and my colleagues are here as well, and collectively we'll be here to answer any questions you have. With me is Ben Angelo. He runs our development group for our student housing platform, and with him is Anthony Davidson, his partner, and then also Matt Roundhorst, who is the regional vice president for Opus. We're all located, well, two of us are located at 10350 Bren Road in Minnetonka, Minnesota, and two of us are at 9700 Higgins in Rosemont, Illinois, Chicago. Thank you. So just to provide a little clarity, this project site extends from Genesee all the way to Madison. And essentially what we're doing is we're bifurcating the site and taking the south half of the site, which is the existing surface parking lot, and creating our project, the new project that we're describing. And really, in that surface lot, there's a lot of runoff that comes off that lot, and we're improving that condition, and we're doing infill development. In that work that we're doing, we're basically replacing the existing 159 parking spaces that are surface parked now and embedding them into our project. So there'll be a shared agreement between our project and the hotel. So Opus will own the south lot and build our project, and then the hotel ownership will own their project, and we'll have a shared agreement to share those spaces. So that's how we're organizing ourselves on the site. Our project is a 7-story building that has 6 levels of residential units on top of a podium. That podium has both parking in it and amenity spaces for our residents. And then we're excavating down 3 levels below that so that we can replace the parking that we're removing. So it's really a net zero gain or loss, because we are replacing every parking stall that's on the lot and really improving the experience for the hotel resident, because now they have structured parking or enclosed parking that is, in this climate, as you know, is better than a surface parking lot. And this infill development does really help the streetscape along Madison. Our building will sit on Madison mid-block, halfway between the existing structured parking lot that's on Krause and the Grace Church, which is on University along Madison. So we're really improving the streetscape along that edge. We're also improving the pedestrian safety along that street, because we're removing curb cuts that currently allow the surface parking lot to come in and out onto Madison. So there's a streetscape enhancement, there's activation of the streetscape, and really just an infill project, which we believe is, from an urban planning standpoint, is a net positive. So I'll just share just a little bit about the process that we got here. As Wendy mentioned, we've actually had quite a bit of dialogue. We've had several meetings with Grace Church and talked about how we could be a good neighbor, and through the construction process, but also as an end result. and have had really good dialogue and adjusted our design based on that feedback. We've also had 2 meetings with Landmark Preservation Board where we've had feedback and dialogue with them as well, and their feedback has impacted the project in a positive way. And lastly, actually, then East Genesee Regions Association, we've had correspondence with them and dialogue with them and found out how we could be a good neighbor in the overall community. And then lastly, Planning Commission. Every time we've met with people, we've listened carefully and saw how we could adjust our project in a positive way based on the feedback received. The end result project is not where we started, but it's better than it was when we started. So that's basically, it's 104 units, 94 parking spaces underneath our building for us, 159 spaces for the hotel, and basically that's where we are.
In the case, it's referred to as a multi-family, and I wanted to know, is this specifically targeted to students?
It is not. Because of its adjacency, certainly there will be students in the project, but it really is intended to benefit the community as a whole. We also have the medical school nearby, so there are folks there, the residents that'll be there. We think that's going to be a great asset for those folks. And really, it's a multifamily project that has some program elements that benefit the students because of its adjacency.
Would you refer to it as a luxury building, which is very popular to be called these days?
It is a highly amenitized project. So to that extent, I mean, there is a pool on our amenity deck. There are fitness and libraries and lounges and club room, the elements that you might see in a luxury project. So yes, I would say that that's a way to describe it.
And you said the different groups that you spoke to, did you speak to any of the neighbors down the block, the Madison School and the other apartments there?
We didn't have direct dialogue further down the block. We really focused on our adjacent neighbors, but then through the Genesee Regions Association, we felt like we had that outreach and really didn't receive any negative feedback along that dialogue.
I know the Planning Commission had some dialogue with you about the design. How's the design changed?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because really when we brought it for our first pass for both Landmark and Planning Commission, some of the feedback we received had to do with the massing and some of the materiality of the building. And with the package you have before you, you'll see that there's a notch in the building that faces southeast. There's a step down in the massing. That's a result of our dialogue and conversation with those folks. So it really did evolve.
Those 2 things you just said, what do they mean?
So the building, for lack of a better term, was a little blocky. It was a little rough, a little too solid. And so by taking the corner and moving the roof down a level and changing how the materials turn the corner to be more respectful on our adjacency to the church. The other thing that we did was we made sure, because Grace Church also has this wonderful memorial garden right to the north side of their church, and we actually made sure that we were being very sensitive to the design of our building facing that, because we're taller than them, right? So we didn't put any balconies on that facade so that it actually would improve that adjacency and just be respectful of their campus.
And you haven't had, and you had good dialogue. You haven't had anybody just downright oppose it to you, to you.
Not to our understanding, and we've gotten here today because of that that work that we've done to listen and adjust.
So it's 104 units. How many bedrooms will there be?
265 beds.
265.
Sorry? 283, I'm sorry, 283.
283.
I misspoke.
Okay. Will there be any parking at ground level?
There is this podium, because of how the site works and to provide services for the hotel. One of the things that happens is that people navigate through the site from Madison to through to the hotel. A lot of times you'll enter the site from the south half. So what we've done is we've raised the podium so that emergency vehicles can go through and trash vehicles can go through. And in doing so, there's a few spots under our building at grade, and there's 18 surface spots left over near the hotel. But the bulk of the parking is underneath the building.
And there'll be spots specifically for the hotel, spots
Yes, sir.
specific.
Yep. Essentially what we're doing is we're giving the top half of the garage to the hotel, and the residents will keep going down and park at the bottom. And we have separate lobbies for each of them. So when when hotel guests come, they can come into the building, they can go in a lobby, and then they go straight across to the hotel lobby.
Have you done a lot of projects like this
Yes, sir, we have.
in other cities? Can you name a couple?
Well, currently, right now, we have a project in Richmond, Virginia, that's maybe it's a little bit bigger than this, and that is actually an outlot. It's right along Broad Street, which is the main corridor in Richmond, adjacent to the historic district. And that is 12 stories tall and has retail at the base and parking underneath it, and an urban zero lot line development.
So there will be some kind of commercial development on the first floor?
There will be the amenity space will be on the ground floor. There's really not a opportunity there for retail at that location. But we are activating the streetscape through this ground floor amenity, the lobby and clubroom spaces for the residents, leasing office, et cetera.
Other questions from the board?
Yes. I'm assuming since this is new construction, it will be ADA compliant
Absolutely.
and it's also important to take into consideration some variance within that ADA compliance, because the ADA is not one size fits all. And also, it's open to all students and the community. Is there any thought into will it just be at market value, or is there any consideration for low income students as well as community?
Great question, great question. So first of all, the first part, as far as ADA compliance, we will meet that without variance, without alternate consideration of fully designed, if that's what you were asking. And then secondly, the way that we design our projects is that we have a range of product types, or units, if you will. They go from studios and one bedrooms, which are single occupancy, and those tend to be the more expensive units. But we also have 4-bedroom units in our project, which really becomes our quote-unquote affordable component, because it's the most cost-effective way for a student to come and have a place to live, because they're sharing with 3 others. And so there's a range of product type that actually benefits a wide range of income, where folks, their ability to pay.
Families?
It actually could theoretically be a family as well.
Yeah.
So studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms. So there could be two folks that want to share a place that are not related, or it could be a family that actually has. And then that would be a very cost-effective way to solve for that.
How much would the rent be for the 4-unit? If a
We
family
don't
would
have
get in
that
there?
quite yet. I think, we're still, 2 years from actually delivering the project. So it'll be, at that time, we'll make sure, we don't want to be top of the market, but we also want to make sure that we're being competitive. So a little early to say exactly, but if I may, Ben, just say that in the 4-bedroom unit, one of the bedrooms would be less than $1,000. I mean, I think that's something we could say without locking in per month.
Quick question. Any of these units going to be used like an Airbnb?
No,
Okay,
it's not allowed in our projects.
okay, very good. Wow.
Other questions from the board?
And you said this is a mixed use, as far as residents residing there, correct?
Well, and not so much a mixed use as a multifamily project, but it's, I would say horizontal mixed use because we have hospitality next door because of the hotel. So we have a hotel and we have multifamily housing that are sharing a parking garage. In that sense, there's a mixed use, but it doesn't have an office component or a retail component, things like that.
Okay. But it does have a pool
It
and
does have a pool.
a gym,
Yes, sir.
and those type of amenities?
Club room, library, place for people, now with all the work at home functions, we're going to have all that space designed into the building as well. So it allows somebody to study remotely or work remotely or go where they need to go.
When you make a decision that this is a place you want to be and it fits you, you do marketing studies?
Yes, sir.
You've determined that there is a market
A need
for
absolutely.
this?
Yes, sir, absolutely. And this is really a wonderful site. Again, as I spoke about in the beginning, the fact that it's really urban infill, and we're taking what is an unsightly surface parking lot and turning it into project. It's adjacency to downtown, but also it's adjacency to the university. Really becomes we're becoming part of the neighborhood, and so we really like this location.
So we have another project before us that's kind of in between at this point, basically across the street, and it's a multi-level student housing.
We understand
project.
that as well,
You're
yes.
aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Other questions?
For staff, actually, but looking through the zoning history, there are no other minimum lot coverage or floor area ratio variances, correct?
Right.
Okay, so we're being asked to do a variance from a compliant lot coverage and floor area ratio
Yes.
site. Okay, just wanted to confirm, thanks.
Yeah.
And one last question.
Yes, sir.
What is the most negative comment, if any, that you heard on this project? And I know you talked about some of the remediation that you've done with the roof change, but has there been any other really negative feedback? I don't see anybody here, so I'm assuming no. But
That was
what
really
is-
the one. Yeah, it was really just make your architecture better, and we did, and we're glad for it. We appreciate the challenge, and I think we've got a better project because of it.
Cool. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the time.
Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody here who wishes to speak against the application? Hearing none, we will go on. That's our only case today, but we have new business.
If I could just to answer that question, this is the third public hearing that we've had on the project, and there's also been 2 appearances before the Landmark Preservation Board, and there has not been one person that's come to the podium to have negative comments about the project. So
Page
what
47.
Dean is talking about as far as making the architecture better, that really came through the Planning Commission and the Landmark Preservation Board to sharpen their pencils. So we were pleased that the community seems accepting of the project. Thank you.
Okay, so that case is closed, and we will deliberate after we get through the new business. New business V 1745, 1027, 1029 East Genesee Street. It's a time extension. Is this one of the ones we asked for people to appear at?
She sent this letter today. You got the letter.
Are we getting the letter, person?
No, he's,
Okay, we get both. That's great.
Why are we gonna have? We're
I
gonna,
mean, let's ask him to.
yeah, come on up. Or come on down.
Good afternoon, thank you. Brian Bouchard with CHA, representing the applicant, 300 South State Street, Syracuse. So this is a project that was previously approved, and we also came to you last year for an extension, right? So the explanation that was asked is, when will the extensions end? So to take you back to last year, it was still kind of in the COVID climate right before we really got into vaccines and opening up construction, and more particularly being able to achieve financing when the bank started to constrict a little bit for new developments. So we were thankful for your last extension. Throughout the course of this year, starting, well, not this year, but earlier, 1 year ago, January, February, March, this particular owner and applicant is also the developer and owner of the property, had an opportunity to potentially sell the project for a different developer to actually take the project on, and they were going through those negotiations last year, which then fell apart. So they were kind of left in a holding pattern again as to how they were going to proceed with the project. Subsequently, throughout the summer of last year, they did organize themselves again to take this project on as they originally intended to, with their own entity as the ownership and applicant to continue the development. So throughout the months of November and December more recently, they have acquired their financial partner in order to proceed with the project. They've also put the plans and specifications out to various contractors to start the formal bidding process. And they've also reached out to the central permit desk to talk about the submission of the actual building permit. So we're here today asking for another one-year extension through November of this year, with the project hopefully formalizing and starting construction actually within the next 6 months. So essentially what I'm saying is, there was a continued delay as we started to get our feet under us, but there is real traction now to move this project forward, and we ask you to approve the exact same project that was extended last time with no changes.
This is the Christian Science building? No?
No, this is
I'm
this is
confused.
1027 East Genesee Street. There is an existing building on site, right?
Oh, it's most, I got you.
Yeah, so, and then that existing building is historic and it'll be preserved and renovated. And the new project that we're asking for the extension, which was previously approved, is actually a new apartment building right behind that. So it'll be shared on the same site.
The design has not changed since we approved it?
Correct. None of the plans or design or any components of the project have been changed. There's been no modifications, and the extension request is for the exact same project that was approved with the same variances, yes.
Can you remind us how many units and how many bedrooms?
It's 72 units, and it's kind of a little bit different project where they're actually all one-bedroom units. Yep.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry for my confusion. Any other questions? Any questions?
Who's the owner now?
Well, it's 1027 East Genesee Street LLC, I believe, but it's, you know, a subsidiary of the Woodbine Group and Norm Swanson, who's the owner, who owns many properties and previously the Genesee Grand Hotel, et cetera. So he has a lot of local interests within Syracuse, and he has offices down on State Street as well, or Fayette Street, rather, yeah.
Okay, anything, if not, I'm gonna ask for a motion on the extension for a year.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Any discussion, you wanna give a rationale?
It has not, it's still the same project. It sounds like there are reasonable reasons for the delay, and sounds like they're going to be going forward within the next 6 months.
All those in favor of granting the extension, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Next one, B1422M2, is that the next one?
Yeah, page 65.
Yeah, I'm on it. Okay, a use variance modification, and this is,
Yes.
okay. Is there anybody here representing? No, come on. I remember him, he was great, I just don't remember the.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
What happened?
He's here for another,
Oh,
a discussion item. This is for the antenna.
right. So
Cell
no,
phone antenna, no one here?
no one's here.
We don't normally invite the,
Well, but I want to understand exactly what they're asking for this new business.
they're adding some equipment at the base of the tower, and then basically that's it. They're asking-
Anybody have any questions for our staff, because I know we're here? If anybody wants to make a motion,
I'll make a motion, we approve.
for a second.
I'll say,
Oh, this can happen.
Nora seconds,
Nora, you can put Nora.
Tied,
She was
so tie goes-
faster than I was.
I goes to the runner. No. Okay. Mike, anything to say about it?
Backup generator will be important in the event of a power failure. This pad unit.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstentions, okay. Executive generator, V2115, discussion. That's 5517 Boulevard. Is that the pictures you guys both sent to me? Okay.
We have some here.
Oh, okay. And let me just confirm, we're discussing, so what does that mean?
Well, it wasn't clear what action the board might want to consider specifically, given the unusual circumstances. There was a demolition that wasn't anticipated. So it'll be your purview to decide how you want to progress from here.
I would say that our variance already covers what they plan to do, or we could say they need to come in again for a new variance.
Right, and you could take it fully
So
today.
let's hear about it. Where'd you go? Come on up.
I'm Dave Mosier, president owner of Mosier Architects, located 1035 Suite 1A, 7th North Street, Suite 1A in Liverpool. What we're here is to discuss the previous variance that was provided was for the lot width, the existing lot width. The required lot width was 50, the existing was 46. So that's to give you context of what the variance was issued for. The project that was proposed has not changed from what was approved or what was presented and approved. The condition on site changed during the course of interior demolition, along with some of the exterior demolition that was anticipated for the build. So what occurred as they were doing interior demolition, a couple of floor structures started to become very unsafe to the workers and to staying up. So they removed it in the auspice of safety. So with that being said, during the building permit review that was still ongoing, after the interior demolition permit was issued, the exterior demolition permit was issued, we reapplied for more of an exterior demolition permit to include what was removed. That was approved and issued. But central permits said, well, now it's new construction. However, so we said, okay, it's new construction. It was always new construction, but we were altering and using some of the existing structure that was there. Now it's not there, but however, the existing foundation is still there, and we're still utilizing that. So contextually, it was a new construction. We were utilizing existing stuff. However, that became unsafe. But the additions and the alterations are now all just new build.
Okay, so you got an area, to begin with, you got an area variance, and now, you know, what you're saying is that the area issues haven't changed. You're kind of using the same footprint that you're using before.
Correct.
So they don't need any other variances, like a use variance, to build a new building or anything like that. That's the way I understand it.
They
Question?
use variance to begin with, I don't think.
No, I said they got an area variance.
Yeah.
And all they're saying is, well, the building's not there anymore, but it's in the same footprint and it's the same area issues, and we've already approved that.
Right.
So questions from the board?
We went by and looked, it's nothing but the foundation left there now.
Correct.
Why did you not tear it down? I mean, why wasn't demolition part of the project to begin with?
Because our approach is try to save as much structure as possible. We just don't believe in going tearing down buildings for the sake of tearing down buildings, only if it really, really needed it. So we
Appreciate that.
anticipated using some of the existing structure, because it also helps the owner to save some construction costs.
But you were hoping to salvage, I mean, that was your greatest wish, to not have to do this.
Always on these properties that are in that area that have come
I appreciate
under
that
it.
philosophy.
Yeah.
So you're going to take out the foundation that's there, you'll build another that's essentially.
Right, the addition's always wrapped around the existing foundations, so they're new foundations anyways. But we are utilizing some of the existing foundations that are still there to help with spans and floor joists whatnot, but same thing, we didn't tear out the whole basement as well, we left it intact. There are portions that the project always required for some of the foundation to be removed, but that was previously approved.
And the floor plans that we approved are exactly the same?
Exactly, to the eighth of an inch.
Were you pretty sure that you wouldn't have to do it? Was it like a major disappointment that you did? Is that?
Well, it is, because I always believe in historic not just historic buildings, but existing buildings. There's a lot of, especially of those age, it'd be nice to always maintain certain structural elements because of the nature of the building. It's just one of my design.
Using this,
concepts.
it's going to look the same?
Looked the same as
Really?
approved, everything, nothing.
How old was the building you tore down?
What was it, I would say it was the early 1900s, I believe.
And you're going to recreate that look?
Well, the same look that was approved.
Yeah, oh, gotcha, okay, got it, okay. Questions, other questions? Okay, is there, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
What?
To accept the changes that are going to happen.
Oh, okay, so it started as a discussion, your motion is to allow,
To allow the
Variance.
variance to do what they need to do.
okay,
Yes.
is that clear to you? Okay, is there a second?
I second it.
Discussion?
Well, it almost makes sense because otherwise he's gonna have a big hole in the ground.
Well, until we looked at it and,
Yeah, but there's no changes from what was initially proposed, so.
you're good, okay. Okay, so the motion is to allow the variance to stay as is. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. So we go back to BO 209M2, which is the Scholar and the Opus companies and the variance. Is there a motion on that, please?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second. I see there's a note, any decision has to acknowledge the parking arrangements. Do we need to say anything special in the motion?
I think acknowledging the waiver, yeah, one, the waiver, and two, the availability of parking next door, because, no, that's right, the waiver isn't necessary for this project.
I mean, they have 10 more spaces. They're within.
Well, no, they're meeting the requirement.
Yeah, right, yeah, it was 178 or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, they're meeting the parking.
Okay, so,
So we have to acknowledge that there's a parking share between the hotel and the student housing facility.
and that we're good with that.
That would be reflected in the resolution that you'll write up. Right, okay.
Okay, you want to listen to this, Dan?
I would love to. First, will there be a change in the neighborhood character? No, in fact, this is adding to the neighborhood with filling in a gap in the streetscape on Madison. Could the benefit be achieved? Are there other solutions? Given the size of the lot and the cost effectiveness of new builds in this day and age, the size and location of the variance and the proposed use seem to be in line with reasonable solutions, and that likely a variance for any proposed use could come up. Third, the magnitude of the variance being requested is not substantial. I think it's only about a 13% difference in the proposed area coverage and less than 40,000 square feet of the floor area ratio. Third, will there be an adverse impact on the surrounding neighborhood? Again, worth noting that this increases density in the neighborhood, fills in a gap in the streetscape on Madison, and increases density, which we all like in the. And finally, this is not self-created because the applicant has not closed on the parcel.
Mike, do you have anything else?
I said, and I commend the developers for their reaching out to the community and being flexible on the design.
Any other comments? All those in favor of the motion to approve the variance, say aye.
Aye.
Very agreeable today. Happy New Year. Thank you. Good luck. Okay, we have 2 authorizations for January 27th. Is there a motion to approve the authorizations?
Make a motion to approve the authorization.
Second. Seconds, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes. Motion to adjourn.
Did you want to address?
We haven't done a motion on the time extensions.
Yeah, we did.
You did.
We did.
Did that.
Okay, then what do you?
I was just asking, Heather mentioned, your emails about future meetings, whether you want.
Oh, you want to talk about that before we adjourn?
I couldn't hear what,
About meeting on virtually or in person. I mean, I'll just say, regardless, I understand it's too quick or whatever. I mean, now things are raging. We don't know. Maybe we should take a break in 3 weeks and go online and then, make another decision for the 3 weeks hence.
I guess the question, Katie, is, are we governed under the state's open meetings law, and we then have to deal with what the state legislature does or what the governor does by executive order?
Yes, and that does expire on January 15th as of now. Under Governor Cuomo, it was extended multiple times, as you remember. He did that unilaterally, so what's a little bit more complicated about the current one is Governor Hochul allowed the Assembly, or allowed the State Senate to do that. So I would think that it's very likely that given what the numbers are in the state right now, it would be reconsidered. So if you are interested in meeting virtually next time, Heather and I spoke about this, and what you could do is approve it conditional on being allowed to do that. So essentially, if it doesn't get extended, you would be meeting here for the hearings. If it does get extended, you can meet virtually.
So are we making the decision or are we making a recommendation?
You would be making the decision. It's a little, the council was able to sort of jump online a lot faster. What makes it more difficult for you guys is the hearings that had been noticed and the open meetings law implications there.
So, Katie, would it be fair to ask if the public notice language as it gets published offers us is worded in such a way that we then have the option based on how it's worded? So we could say pending, because we're stuck under whatever the state says on open meetings law. If we have the option to go virtual, it would be virtual. If we don't, we don't. But could the public notice contemplate both of those outcomes?
I don't get the impression that, I'll say Heather, or, the office is that flexible in planning it this way.
I guess that's my question. Like, we don't have discretion to decide whether we meet virtually or not. That's dictated by open meetings law at the state level. What I'm asking is, can our notice be flexible enough to cover both outcomes?
Well, we definitely don't have the capacity to be both but I think to be both at the same time, which Heather's made really clear that we don't have the capacity right now. But I think that the open meetings that the notice would have to be really clear as to what it's going to be. So I think by the time notice goes out, it would have to be one or the other.
And when does notice have to go out for the next meeting?
After the 15th. I don't remember the exact day, but would be just 3 weeks from today and subtracting the.
We'll know before notice needs to go out if it's been extended beyond the 15th.
Yes.
And notice could reflect any state action that may have changed.
Oh, yeah. By then you would know whether you were going virtual or not.
Okay.
Because we got our notice for this meeting December 26th, so you got plenty of time.
We normally would send the notice out on the 14th.
Oh, it would be the 14th?
Is the deadline.
Okay, so I lost you in the legal talk.
So we don't have discretion as a body to decide whether we meet virtually or not. That's at the state, at open meetings law. The state has extended the option to go virtual via an act of the state legislature instead of via executive order, this most recent extension through the January 15th. So we don't get to say we meet virtually or not. The state makes that decision for the whole state at open meetings law. What I'm saying is, can we make notice that covers both of those eventualities? I hear Katie saying probably not, but we may know in time before notice goes out if virtual meetings will be an option, in which case we could opt to do that. And I would say, I would ask that staff consults with the chairman ahead of the notice going out.
I think we can consult, and just as a reminder, I'm now acting as your staff and not your attorney, so.
That's confusing.
You mean, is that a permanent thing?
It-
You're still going to be here?
Well, I don't know if I'll be at every meeting. Heather asked me to come because she couldn't,
Oh, okay.
so
But we're getting a new attorney.
Well, I met an attorney last time. Is she still going to be?
I don't know if she's been assigned.
Okay.
And nobody's saying.
Put that aside.
Okay, so what do we need to do right now?
I think that in the event that we don't know by the 14th when we have to go, which I would really hope that the state would let us know before the 14th, that we would most likely have to notice it for the next, say that we don't know on the 14th, then we would have to assume it's going to be in person because but hopefully we would know by then. So I think maybe the best thing to do would be for you to tell us what your preference is. And then,
We don't have a preference, I guess is my point. We don't have discretion.
oh, I mean, if you are given the discretion,
The option to go virtual?
yes, because if it is extended beyond the 15th, you would have that option.
We have that option.
But not the requirement.
It's not required, it's not required to go virtual, right now.
And if it's extended, then
You would have the option. You
we'd
did have the
But
option.
not be required to go virtual.
Yes, from last September to January 15th, boards have been given discretion to go virtual.
Are you saying that we should hold out to see what the story is until the 14th?
Well, I think you should tell us now, like, what your preference is at this point.
I would prefer, if we are allowed to go virtual at our next meeting. What do others think?
I'm in full agreement with my.
Make a motion.
I move that if allowed to by the state, we go virtual at our next meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, and any discussion? Well, there's no doubt.
Question, yeah.
We want to be in person.
Yeah,
Today, if I had the choice, based on what's going on, I don't want anybody to be on.
I would say it would be, I think as a board member, I would like for the chairman just to have a little say as the notice goes out, just so that we can have maybe one more roundup, depending on what's going on in 2 weeks.
Well, just nuts and bolts, if the infection rate continues as it is, I prefer to be virtual for, a meeting until it slows down. I believe it'll slow down in the next month or so. So,
It may in fact have slowed down before our next meeting, but I would still prefer to have the motion that I just gave.
The only comment I will make is, otherwise, I'm in favor of going virtual. However, it's really hard to have equal communication over WebEx.
Well, yeah, I assume it'll be like it was the last time we did it, which was WebEx.
Horrible.
which is horrible. Yeah, well,
It's nothing that
yeah, it was difficult. It was difficult. But again, just like a lot of the issues we're facing these days, what's worse, exposing ourselves.
That's something argued against. I'm making a point of equal access.
She would like to have
Okay,
something better than
understood.
WebEx.
And Karen, this is something you brought up to Heather, right? I mean, it's been brought up and you got no improvement or satisfaction?
No.
No, okay, well,
But I'm making a rhetorical statement.
Okay. That it isn't good. Yeah, it's difficult. Well, I appreciate that, and I would hope, Katie, you would bring that back to Heather, and if she's not clear about, those issues, to talk to Karen again. And at the same time, like I said, I want to stay safe. I mean, we're all doing it our own way, but in this case, we could have a meeting and 30 people could show up for a case, and that wouldn't be comfortable for us, so. The motion's on the motion is there in a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so all in favor of the recommendation that we go virtual next time?
If allowed to by the state?
If allowed to by the state, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
So we're unanimous? Yeah, okay, fine. So it passes 5-1, okay? Okay, you got that? Motion to adjourn? Yes, but that was...
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.